Alright, so I added tracer and I set it to 100, and I also cleared out my tracer here at the bottom. And so if I go ahead and run it, you can see that I have my horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go ahead and stretch out the canvas a bit. So I'm going to stretch it out, being sure I'm not clicking on the screen. Right? And we can see our turtles over here. Okay, great. And so what I have is I don't have a blank line here at the bottom of the screen. And I don't think that the user can actually see that blank line, but I want to have it there just because, right? I mean, I have a blank line here at the at 0 on the vertical line. I want a blank line at 0 on the horizontal line as well, right? So how do I do that? Well, I'm making my horizontal lines here, right? And the reason why it's not drawing a a horizontal line at 0 is because I'm starting my Y position at 50, right? I want to start my Y position at 0, right? That way it'll draw a line at 0. So let me go ahead and run that. And we get this here. Oh, I clicked on the screen. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to come up here, try to be careful. Nope, I clicked on the screen. So I want to try to grab the corner of the screen without clicking on the screen, or else the exit on click is going to kick in. There we go. Okay, so now we have our grid. Okay, so looks good, and we're using tracers, so it appears instantaneously. And so now what do I want to do? Well, first of all, I want to clean this up. I don't like black on white. I like the grid to be gray, so it's less conspicuous, right? It just looks like a grid in the background, but what I want the people to focus on is not the grid, but actually the 8-bit sprite that I'm going to draw on the grid. So I'm going to make the grid gray to make it a little bit more blendy, right? So I'm going to come back over here, and when I create my pen, I'm going to say pen.color. I'm going to do double quotes. Okay. Now I could put gray right there, right? And if I go ahead and run it, you'll see I'll get this. Okay. But another way that you can create a color for your pen is you could use a hexadecimal code, right? And so you guys might have Photoshop installed on your computers, but most likely, or I don't know, I haven't tested, but you might not. Right? And so if you go to pixlr.com, pixlr.com, and then you select the E version, and then we go ahead and create an image. Oh wow. Yeah. Anyways, I like to surf, and that's a picture of me surfing. So anyways, we're here, and if I click on this color swatch in the bottom left corner, I can go ahead and choose any color, right? And not only can I choose any color, but I could choose any shade. If I want it more gray, I can go to the left. If I want it darker, I can go down, right? So I can click any shade. And let's say, okay, this is the color that I want it to be, right? Well, then I could take this hexadecimal code here, along with the number sign, and then I can come to my PyCharm, and I could drop it in the double quotes. Okay? And so if I go ahead and run that, then all of a sudden my lines are blue. Okay, great. So I'm going to use the hexadecimal code CCC. So 6 C's is gray, and I'll run that. New. 6 C's is gray. Okay, great. So I have my gray background or gray grid. That's good. Okay, let's do a little bit more cleanup here. Okay, so you see this 1000, right? Those are the dimensions of the screen. That's the width and the height, right? I don't want to have numbers in my code. Okay, and why not? I don't want to have numbers because what if I decide I want to change the dimensions of the screen? I want it to be 500 wide by 500 tall. That means I would have to go through my code, and every time I use the width of the screen or the height of the screen, I need to change it to be 500, right? At the moment, it's only here in 4 places, or 6 places. But if my code is longer, let's say I've gone through it pretty extensively, I have 1,000 lines of code, then I have to go through every single line of code looking to see if I need to change the 1,000 to 500. Right? So how can we fix this? Well, what we can do is create a global constant variable, right? And what is a global variable? Well, it was talked about in the functions chapter, and what it means is that it's not local, right? A local variable is a variable that's created in a function definition That means it is local to that function definition. It only exists in that function definition. Example would be wn. Wn was created right here on line 5, which is in the function definition main. So wn only exists in main. So does pen. Pen only exists in main for the same reason. Right? Now, if I create a variable here outside of the loop, it will be global. Right? So if I say win underscore width is equal to 1000, okay, great. I have a global variable that is equal to 1000. Right? But another thing here is that when we run the program, wn is never going to change value. Right? It's never going to change value. And so since he's never going to change value, I want him to be global and constant. Right? And so the way we signify constant is we do all capital letters. What all caps means is when this program runs, this value is never going to change. Right? And if you're building a game, an example would be sky color. Sky color would always be set to blue. Right? Gravity would always be set to 9.8. Okay, so a global constant, a variable that's never going to change value as you run your program. So over here, I'm going to use this global variable. Right? And what does global mean? It means it could be seen and used in all of the different function definitions. Right? So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to use winWidth there. For this yPos, I'm not going to use winWidth. This is winHeight. For the xPos, I'm going to be using winWidth and winWidth here. Right? So let's go ahead and do the same thing, except this time we're going to make it winHeight, right? WinH, and I'm going to use it here, here, and here. And I'm going to run the program to make sure that those changes didn't cause any additional bugs. Okay, everything looks good, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and close it up. And I guess that's about it for now, right? So let's go ahead and just add our global variables and then make sure they work in our program. And now if I wanted to change the height and width of the screen, I would only need to change it on line 2 and 3 and 4, and it would change everywhere, right? So that's the benefit of using a variable to store your values, then use your variables in your program. And also variable names are descriptive. Right? And so it increases readability of your code. So now I could take a look at it and say, okay, yeah, there's that's where we're creating the screen's width and height. Okay, so we're going from the top of we're going from the 0 point up to the top of the screen. So it allows the user to interpret your code easier. So let's go ahead and stop there.